don't think they have what it takes. Their fellow Ravens couldn't know that they didn't have the right stuff. Call Site Support Services, the health specialist at 410-791-1. Call Site. S-I-T-E Support. If you want it done, call Site. The folks at Adams Jeep of Maryland aren't just great at helping customers find their perfect ride,
but they're also huge Ravens fans.
They've tricked out Jeep Toronto's players in the past.
And they'd love to do the same for you Ravens fans out there.
Adams Jeep of Maryland is like a Jeep paradise. If you're in the market for anything Jeep related,
you need to visit Adams Jeep of Maryland.
Visit adamsjeep.com for more information.
3485 Churchville Road in Aberdeen. And find Adams Jeep of Maryland on Facebook.
This is the MobTown Sports Beat. Here's Thurl Nelson.
Welcome back, MobTown Sports Beat 410, 1570, the number, W1ST.net, the website. This hour of the program brought to you by our friends at Buffalo Wild Wings in Bel Air. They have Wings Tuesday at Buffalo Wild Wings in Bel Air, where all wings are specially priced all day. Boneless on Thursday for Boneless Thursdays, where all boneless wings specially priced again all day. 16 signature sauces, 5 different seasonings. Whether it's baseball, basketball, hockey, MMA, if there's a competition going on and you can drink beer and eat wings while watching it, they'll be at Buffalo Wild Wings in Bel Air. They're located on South Parkway in Bel Air. Head on over there today or visit BuffaloWildWings.com to find a location near you. Once again, 410-481-1570 is the number. Lots of NFL free agency, franchise tag, and draft talk has been sort of ongoing to this point in the MobTown Sports Beat, and we're always happy for that. But, as we find ourselves between seasons now, and as we mentioned sort of at the top of the show, they say, March comes in like a lion, goes out like a lamb. We might reverse that from a sports perspective because not a whole lot going on at the beginning of March from a sporting perspective, but by comparison, when we finish out the month, we will have baseball all but upon us, counting down and getting much closer to the NFL draft as well. And we will be in the throes of March Madness and into April also. So the countdown continues, and I imagine that many folks looking ahead to fantasy baseball drafts and the like. Here to help us with some of that, we welcome in from KFFL.com, Keith Hernandez. Keith, what's going on, man?
Draft season.
No doubt. You and me both, man, and feeling pretty good, I guess, about a lot of things, and still some big questions to be answered. And, of course, the fun part right now is always about, sort of key movements and some of the excitement that's generated by, some guys that have changed franchises over the course of this offseason. One of the big questions that we have, Keith, because I'm always a sucker for positional value, man, and I used to be one of these guys in the Jose Reyes fan club. Injuries have taken me out of it over the last couple of years. He's rebounded nicely, by the way, but as has been pointed out to us on a couple of occasions, that turf in Toronto, or that surface in Toronto, has to have us concerned at least mildly, in addition to switching leagues for Jose Reyes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the turf, caused some problems on his knees. He's been shaking. He's not as young as he used to be. He's in a good situation in Toronto, though. That team is really stacked up this offseason, so he has help in the lineup around him. For right now, I still like him. But you mentioned the positional value. Shortstop is one of those positions for baseball that's just, pretty scarce. There's not really top options at the position. Troy Tulowitzki is probably one of the best options interceptions, but even he is a little risky. He missed pretty much all last season with the groin problem, and the guys really can't count on for a full season anymore. I mean, he does have elite skills, but that position at shortstop is just one where, it's pretty fickle, and you don't know what you're really going to get from it.
What do you think about Elvis Andrews this year? A lot of talk that that the Rangers may be in a position to move him at some point. Obviously, they have this young kid Profar knocking on the door. Does he feel like a safe draft pick to you? And is he a guy that sort of finds himself in the mix of could-be's, sort of around 7 to 13 in that shortstop hierarchy with guys like J.J. Hardy, perhaps certainly guys like Asdrubal Cabrera and others?
I think he's one of the safer ones. If he does get traded this year, he has stable skills, and he's got a healthy roster out. They do have a profile, but I wouldn't be too worried about him. They're going to take their time with him, and if possible, they'd like him to play some other positions just so they can work around with Elvis Andrews. But I think that Elvis is one of the safer guys. He is, I just think he's a veteran, with the Rangers. He's been on for a while. He's stable, especially at the shortstop position. There's really not much you can go around at that position. So I think he's one of the guys that really can anchor the roster. And he's a guy that you really don't have to reach for in your draft. So that's one of the good targets to have.
How much does the absence now of Josh Hamilton project to impact, as countable stats go, guys like Andrews that we spoke of, and maybe even a guy like Adrian Beltre?
Yeah, Josh Hamilton is very to the Angels, but when you're drafting on your team and you're looking at certain individual players, I don't put too much stock in, the lineups around. It's more of the player themselves. Josh Hamilton, he doesn't impact the roster lineup pretty much as any other player could, but as far as drafting players go, I don't see, especially if you're going to take Adrian Beltre and Elvis Andrews, I don't think that that's really going to, determine the whole lineup. If you're looking at a guy like Josh Hamilton leaving the lineup, I'm still going to draft Adrian Beltre or Elvis Andrews regardless of if Josh Hamilton's in the lineup or not.
Keith, are you surprised that a guy like Matt Kemp seems to be, sort of sliding down draft boards in comparison to a guy who is at or near sort of that consensus number one opinion? You might be able to get him toward the tail end of your first round, and he's surrounded by offensive talent now.
Yeah, Matt Kemp is a guy, I see him he has the talent, and one of the talent last year mostly becoming an injury, and that's what we're trying to ask. I mean, a guy that's, basically coming up in performances the prior year, and we're getting a good value just because a lot of people are down and because of the last season that they had, and Matt Kemp is one of those guys, and he's a first-time talent. Like you mentioned, he's slipping down draft boards, and if you can get this guy, in the first round or late in the first round, that's a score for you. He has the Los Angeles Dodgers lineup on him, and a lot of talent pitching out too. So, this is a guy that can help you out.
We talked yesterday a bit with Nick Minix about his teammate Andre Ethier, who I think is almost being unfairly judged by many through the scope of his contract more than the value that he might bring you. He's a guy that at All-Star breaks over several years has threatened almost all of the major league echelon, the major league benchmarks. He was in the Triple Crown running at one point. Was up there with a prolonged hit streak. Had big home run numbers at times during his career. If this guy is all of a sudden in the mid-30s, early 40s in terms of outfield rankings, how could we not look at him as a steal?
Yeah, I think he's like an anchor for my outfield. He's not going to be number two outfielder on my roster, but he's a guy who can show up that depth and when he's healthy, he hits for power and for average. And he's not going to steal like he did earlier in his career, but this guy really can't hit, and he's going to put up those numbers for the roster, and he really can't anchor the outfield staff.
Indeed, talking with Keith Hernandez from KFFL.com. They are your one-stop free resource for all things fantasy sports related, and must consult before you head to your fantasy baseball draft. Keith, where are we at with Joey Votto, and how much better do the Reds look offensively in your opinion?
many people might be able to down just because of his injuries last year. And, the learning is really, you know if that's going to stop his power this year. That's the big question because he's a first-round talent. Everybody knows what this guy can do when he's healthy. So the question is, he will put up those power numbers based on his injuries last year. Can he rebound? And so that's a big question. I think he will. He's one of those guys that's just a natural hitter. He'll be healthy. He's taking his time this spring. He's making sure everything's in order. And I really think that he'll want to make a lineup this year. And he's going to be a return first-round value for him. The range is scary a little bit, but one of those players is just, you can't pass him up in the first round.
Keith, I would guess that a lot of guys who have never been, let's say, in the top 5 picks in their drafts have never found themselves in a position to grab Albert Pujols, for example. Some of the lust are wearing off him. If he's lasting to the end of the first round, is he sort of a must-grab at this point, or do we expect that he might be in decline already?
Yeah, I think a lot of people have to a really slow start last year. I think a lot of the new team and he was pressing a little bit. But Pujols is still consistent. He's, I really do think if you can grab him in the latter part of that first round, really scoring. A lot of people are looking to Mike Trout in the top 5 picks, especially because of the year he had last year as a rookie. But I think Pujols is a rack. If I could, I would take him before Mike Trout, just because Mike Trout doesn't have the track record that Pujols does. He's a good bat to hit around 30 home runs again. He's consistently there. He's coming out from one surgery, but he's taking his time this spring. It shouldn't be a cause for concern. So I think he's a rock, and I really do think that in the latter part of the first round, if you can grab him, then you're looking really good.
Keith, I'd like to get your opinion on a couple of pitchers if we could, and start with Aroldis Chapman. The annual debate, I guess, is on as to whether he is a long-term reliever or perhaps a starting pitcher. How are we looking at him on draft day?
My opinion, I really would like to see him keep him as a closer. He was one of the most dominant closers in the history of baseball last year. And so, the whole was why would you change something like that? Jonathan Braxton has been solid for the Reds, but he's one of the Chapman with a bullpen. He can't be the dominant closer that Chapman has been. But if they're going to keep Chapman as a starter, he's still going to be solid for me. He could still be one of the top starting pitchers this year. He's going to lose some velocity going to the rotation. It'll take some off just so he can have the stamina to last 6-7 innings every 5 days. But this is still a guy that can be a pretty elite starting pitcher. If he can run in that command, if he can be solid and throw strikes, that's the big issue to me. And another issue is the innings. He didn't throw any innings over last year, so that's going to be a big question. Will they limit him similar to what they did with Steven Strasburg, the Nationals? That's a big question, but I think that he really still can be an elite starting pitcher. So I'd still like to have him on my squad as a starter.
Chris Medlin, can he sustain the lights-out sort of dominance that we saw from him at the end of last year?
I think he can. Last year, he was a sleeper for me. I know for us, we thought he was a sleeper and only paid off. He was coming off that serious injury, but he's one of those guys that really, he's coming into his own, and I think he can make a day's rotation. And as far as a fantasy option, I really like Chris Medlin. He's one that a lot of people should target as a starting pitcher for their squad, and I really think he can help you out this year.
Matt Latos, I think fairly we could call his season last year a little bit disappointing. Does he bounce back?
I think he bounces back, and this is a guy that I think the whole year, a lot of people overlook him just because he had last year. He's going to sell the team, he's going to get you a lot of W's, and this is a guy that's, for his value, as a strikeout pitcher. I think a lot of people forget that about Matt Latos. He had the in San Diego, and he was really impressive, and then he went to Cincinnati, and I think for a lot of people, he lost the last year, but he's still a guy that can get you nice strikeout and from his value, and the guy you really should find in your draft.
Chris Sale, is he a guy that we need to see do it again before we buy into this fully?
I think so. He's one of those young guys that the White Sox are really going to be careful with that as they see. He took back innings straight last year, and he's one of those guys that, with his type of body, I wonder if he can sustain that many innings, that kind of pressure on him. So I think be skeptical a little bit, but when you go in, in the draft, don't overpay for it. I would suggest that. I really think the White Sox are going to be cautious with him. I wouldn't be surprised if he, gets pushed back. Any sign of, arm fatigue or anything like that this year, they're really going to push him back and be cautious. I think you should do the same in your draft.
The two guys that are going to be plugged in behind David Price, Matt Moore, Jeremy Hellickson, we have celebrated their legends for the last couple of years. Do they round into form? It's hard to say that they haven't been productive, but do they become, sort of top echelon guys this year?
Yeah, the Tampa really does get pretty much everything they can out of any of their players. And, top of the talent, so they're a team, but, they have two really excellent hands, and, on draft day, you really look to guys like that. I like Matt Moore, the general Wilson, but both of these guys are really anchors in that rotation behind David Price. Both of them should have solid careers, and I really like Matt Moore coming into his own. As a rookie, a lot of people were skeptical, but Will Scott was really coming around, and I would love to take him in that draft.
Last one for the guy that they're going to be asked to sort of step up in place of. James Shields goes to Kansas City, which I would guess to be a much more pitcher-friendly park, but not going to get the offensive support that he likely did. Well, that's not even fair because Tampa doesn't hit the ball very well. Better or worse than Kansas City, James Shields?
I think James Shields, people are skeptical of him, too. I think he's a talented man in Kansas City. You mentioned the home party, and actually, some big moves in the last season. They added Santana to the rotation. Their offense is coming around with some prospects that are coming around. Hopefully Mike Moustakas and Eric Holder can turn it around. I think Holder is one of those guys that really performed well this year compared to the last season he had. But James Shields, the number one or two guys you have in your fantasy staff, the ones that are going to get you those innings, and the home infielders are going to come down from I do believe, especially pitching in Kansas City. And I like that roster as a whole, so I do think he's going to get you some wins, too, possibly more than he would if he was on the Tampa Bay Rays.
He is Keith Hernandez, KFFL.com. They are your one-stop free resource for all things fantasy sports related. Follow him on Twitter as well at KeithDaz27. Keith, I'm a sucker for Robinson Cano, positional value, everything else. The fact that it's a contract year, I guess, makes things even that much more interesting. Should my opinion of him change at all if the Yankees are able to sign him, as reports are they have an offer out at least?
I don't put too much stock on drafting my fantasy players. Robinson Cano, like you mentioned, at the second base position, that's really probably one of the shallow positions this year for baseball. And I'm a top 5 pick in the first round. So a lot of people take a one three. Some people take a right shot. So I'm taking Robinson Cano at number 3 after Ryan Brown and Miguel Cabrera come off the board. And regardless of if he signs a new contract, I'm still going to take him at number 3. I know the Yankees lineup, with Adrian, they're knocking out Alex Rodriguez, Derek Jeter, coming out the series, so they're really a punch. Curtis Granderson, so Robinson Cano is going to be carrying to the lineup, and I really don't think he can do it at the position. He's a guy that is a premier player, and he should come off the board in the top 5, the first 5 pick.
Keith, appreciate it as always, man. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, you too. Thanks for having me.
You got it. There goes Keith Hernandez, KFFL.com. They are the best free resource on the internet for all things fantasy sports related, and a must consult before your fantasy draft day, which is upcoming for a lot of us for sure. 410-481-1570, the number. This hour of the MobTown Sports Beat brought to you by our friends at the Greenmount Station. If you're looking for Carroll County's best crab cakes, the Greenmount Station has them. They also have great specials every day. Monday, they have a balloon artist from 5 until 8 p.m. Tuesday, all you can eat ribs and shrimp in the bar lounge. Wednesday, Here's the one for me, 20-ounce prime rib special for just $19.99. Thursday is wine night with half-price bottles of wine. And Saturday, an extended happy hour from noon until 5 p.m. Pay a visit to our friends at the Greenmount Station. MobTown Sports Beat returns after this. We'll wrap things up. Get ready for reality radio. We never stop talking.